Hello and welcome to the first MindManager webinar of 2026. My name is Rainer Oberser. I'm your host and presenter today, and I'm glad you took the time to learn more about MindManager formulas and SmartRules and how to use them together. My colleague from France, Christophe Portelier, is joining us today as well. He will walk you through the sample and use case maps that we have selected for today's session. And later on, together with me, we'll answer your questions at the end of the webinar. Speaking of questions, please write them into the GoToWebinar question box during the webinar or send an email later to webinars@mindmanager.com. The webinar will be recorded as usual, and you will receive an email with links to the recording and all the webinar materials. With this, I guess I'm done with the info section. I'll move right on to today's agenda. Click the next button. So we are starting with MindManager topic properties, since they are the foundation for formulas and calculations in MindManager. When I've given you the overview, I will move on and show you how you can create calculated properties with either the function AutoCalc or the formula editor in MindManager. After this, we will check how SmartRules work in MindManager and how calculated properties can be used with them to create dashboard maps that automatically highlight KPIs or other important data in your map. And then finally, Christophe will present the example maps that we have selected for today and will help me to answer all the questions in the Q&A session. Okay, let's move on. Let's start with topic properties. So what is a topic property? A property, there are many definitions. I would say this is a user-defined input field for structured topic information. A field that gets a name, that has a type, a data type. Let me quickly open this window. Here you see the various types: a numeric type, a text type, a date type, or a logical type, among others. So that's the type of the field. And of course, sooner or later, a property will contain a value. So why am I going to use properties? I mean, what are they useful for? They are supposed to let you enter and then display data, qualitative data and quantitative data, like length, height, width, or SKU number, or last edited on, so depending on the type. So this is the main purpose, and as long as it is numerical properties, you can do calculations and budgeting with these numbers in a map. Properties can also be used within the power filter and the search command. If I open the power filter, if you're looking for properties, you have to scroll all the way down and find them pretty at the end here, properties. And if you click in here, you will see all the properties that might have been defined in the map that you are looking at. So, and of course, and this is directly related to today's topic, properties can be used within SmartRules as triggers and effects. Okay, how do I create properties? Either manually by simply selecting one or several topics at once, and then clicking on the advanced menu on properties and say define properties. This opens this topic property definition window, and this has vastly improved against older versions of MindManager, and it's pretty easy to handle. So here you simply click into the very first property, give it a name, choose a type of the property, and click on New if you want to add more than one property. So in my example, I've already done this. You see 4 properties, 3 of them type currency, and the last one is a numerical, a text property. And depending on the type, you also can enter only numbers or text or a date and so on. So this is how properties get manually entered. Advanced menu. Oh, and very important, we also moved and copied this button properties onto the insert menu so that it's easier for you to find, because it's an important part of data that can be handled by MindManager. Okay, second part, automatically, if you have ever used other features in the advanced menu, like our integrations to Microsoft Planner, Microsoft To Do, Microsoft Lists, SharePoint, or Outlook, you might have noticed that sometimes properties get created automatically when you retrieve data from disconnected informations from disconnected systems, or you can choose whether a specific piece of information is going to be entered as topic text, a topic note, as a resource tag, or as a property. So they can be entered automatically as well. And this is the way how you get properties into your map. Now, what do we do with properties? Brings me to the next issues. As long as it is numerical properties, numbers, I can use them for calculations, for budgeting, summing up certain numbers. Like if I have entered width or amount, I can calculate the total amount. And I have 2 options to do this. We have, again, on the menu Advanced, in the topic data section, the buttons AutoCalc or Formulas. AutoCalc is used for creating simple formulas in MindManager. AutoCalc uses one specific property within a defined range of subtopics and applies a function to this. And I will show you how it works. Here's a little example. Let me add a couple of more subtopics to this. Now I go to the parent topic, to the topic who is supposed to get a calculated property. And another thing I forgot to mention about AutoCalc is AutoCalc can enter properties to the selected range as well, because in this example, there aren't any properties. I can calculate this, but AutoCalc does this for you. So I select this topic, go on the advanced menu on AutoCalc, and now I simply say add like total quantity, total units to the selected topic and calculate it as, and these are the functions that MindManager offers. It's limited, but it's good enough for most of the things that you want to do in MindManager. I use the function sum. And now I need to define a range where the function sum is applied to the properties. So first of all, I need to say calculate units. So this is not a range. This is the name of the property that is being added to the range that I select here. The range indicator is very important and very interesting in combination with formulas, because it allows you to do quite sophisticated things. AutoCalc, say in this case, use the children topic of the selected one or all the topics underneath. I use this one, make them the type number and click on OK. And now you see the result. I have added the property, the numerical property units to the selected range, and I've added a calculated property called total units to my parent property. And as soon as I enter values here, the formula applies and I see the total result. By the way, you can copy and paste values and properties with the mouse, drag and drop them from one topic to another one. So if we look at the result is a formula. If you put the mouse onto the name of the calculated property, you see the actual formula. If it is a calculated property, click on the calculated value, you automatically open the formula editor in MindManager. Also, as soon as you have a calculated property, you see the formula icon that also helps you to open or close the formula editor. This icon can be suppressed by the topic info display settings. So this is AutoCalc, applying a simple function across a range of topics. If you want to do more, or if you want to edit the created formula, you would use the formula editor of MindManager. Now, let's have a look at this formula editor. Helps you to create more advanced formulas, and it helps you, for example, to also do calculations for a single topic only without a range. AutoCalc always needs or applies a range. The formula editor lets you do calculations within the topic where the formula is applied. For example, here, unit price is calculated by the property unit cost times 1.25, something like this. So this one here is an example for a more complex formula, where I say this is something that contains several ranges, not only one range. I could have done this with AutoCalc, but several ranges, starting from this topic and all the children's, and another topic over here, and referring always to a specific property that is being used to calculate, in this case, the biggest value of these two ranges. Formula editor is also used if you want to access task information within your formulas, not only property values, but task information. And now I'll show you how this works in principle. So if you have the formula editor open and you click here, you immediately see the buttons that help you to define either the function or the range or the task info that you can do calculations with. And this button over here helps you to do exactly this, to point with your mouse to a specific topic where you want to get your properties from, or where you want to assign the range to do further things in your formula. So once again, I need to get out of the formula editor by pressing the escape key. I go to this one, syntax of a formula. Again, you see a little example here of the formula editor. On the left-hand side of my formula is a name of a calculated property. This can be created within the formula. It does not need to exist, whereas the so-called input properties need to exist if I want to use them for calculations. So here you see the calculated property, you see the function, you see the range, and you see the property where the range is applied to. And then this is combined with plus, pointing to a specific topic and using the property of this specific topic multiplied by the task info progress. That's the principle, the way a formula works in principle. Here, a very quick overview of the functions you have, the range options you have. I mean, this is always shown here, so it does not need to be, topics underneath the selected topic. You can also select everything in your map, like map topics or the central topic, and then defining a range from here, and so on and so forth. Try it out. This is quite powerful. And I've mentioned this button. This is the one to select a specific topic to receive the properties from this topic for further calculations. The buttons here, this one, help you to select either the property you want to work with, so this property must already exist, or you select task information, numerical task information as, this is in German, as duration or effort or progress and other things. Simply open the formula editor and click on this button and you see the options. Very important, here you can use the standard mathematical operators in your formula, mean addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, exponentiation, and a little bit hidden but very powerful, the logical operators. You can compare properties, property A larger or equal to property B, or smaller and equal, or exactly, and this is definitely not as different than this. So the values of a comparison always result in a number, and the number 1 for true and the number 0 for false, and this can be used then within your formulas. And this can also be combined with the operator for and. These are the two ampersand signs, or the operator for or. And or always also result in 0 or 1 as an example. So, and this whole set gives you the power to do also more sophisticated calculations in MindManager. Let's have a look. Let's look at an example here, or several examples. A simple one, and this could have been applied with AutoCalc as well, is summing up the property quantity to total quantity. Again, you see I move the mouse on the name of a calculated property. I see the formula right at the topic, or I click on either this one or the value to open the formula editor, and to modify or edit it, I simply need to click again. To leave it, I exit it with this button and close the formula editor by escape. So example 1, simple formula. Then I have category 2. By the way, formulas like Excel can be copied from one topic to another. Like here, I say use the descendants or the children of this topic. If I do the same over here, I automatically get the sum value over here. And this example, if we look at this one, is actually summing up these two ranges, range 1 and range 2. And this could be done in several ways. One way to do this is, let me open this and give you a look at it. I'm saying, total quantity of parent, go from here to the parent, and from the parent use all the descendants. You see, I'm combining the topic function with the range function. Go here, and from here take the range of all the topics underneath and look for the property quantity and sum it up. So that's the principle. Let me say one thing. If you're working with ranges, like here, descendants, whatever range you have, please make sure that the range argument is only one property, not a property combined with like an operator plus or divided by and referring to the second property. This, even though you don't get an error message, if I would say this one divided by 2 would give me a result, but not necessarily the result that I would expect, because you would expect this sums up the half of all the values, but that's not the way it works. A range property, a range can only refer to one property. This is important to know, and this is the most common mistakes made in formulas. Okay, example 2, I think I need to exit this one, is a simple example showing how you can calculate with task information in a topic. Here I have a topic. Let me open the task info, modify task info over here. I've added a resource. This resource has been applied cost. I have like fixed costs, a general cost. All this information is already available in MindManager right out of the box. You don't need to do anything. But let's say you would like to see the effort that is being shown here in days, and that has been applied in days, as an hourly value, or even efforts in minutes. You can bring this data in by simply creating a calculated property that uses this value within the formula editor. And this is what we have done here. Let me open the formula editor, go into this formula and say effort in hours, that's the name of my calculated property, equals, and now this value, effort hours, is simply coming from the available task info attributes. You see effort hours, effort minutes, or effort days. And to make it a little bit more sophisticated, I'm multiplying this with the other task property progress over here. And this already gives me something, what's the effort spent on this topic. If I'm using progress 0, effort is nothing. Planned effort is 4 days. Now, if I update the progress, I'm updating also the actual effort. And I can do a similar thing with like the cost. Let's look at this formula. I've specifically selected this to give you an example of a little bit more complex formula that combines also the comparison operator. Current cost is this total resource cost. This is again coming from the available task infos down here, multiplied by progress, so far so good, plus the fixed cost, the general cost being defined, but I only want to add the general cost if the task has been worked on already, if the progress is larger than 0. And you see this is applied by general cost times and then progress larger than 0. If progress is not larger than 0, meaning 0, the result is 0 and general cost will not be added. It is not, if it is different than 0, the general cost will be added. And this is, I think, a nice example where you get an idea how this can be used. Look at the current cost. Nothing here. As soon as I start working, the total amount of these 1,000 euros are added already to the actual or current cost, and so on and so forth. So these has been examples for how to use formulas and work with either calculated properties or task infos. And now quickly, let's move to the smart rules in MindManager. First of all, let me get rid of the formula editor. Zoom in a little bit. Okay. So now another topic, smart rules. What are smart rules? Smart rules are rule-based automations in a map that help you to apply a if-then logic. So they are monitoring certain pieces of information, and this is called the trigger. And if the trigger can be applied, this is causing an effect. This is what a smart rule does. So what is monitored? What are the potential triggers? It's either topic content. You can look for a word, specific word on a topic. You can look for content in a topic node. You can look for the number of links or the number of attachments and other things, yeah, this can be used as a trigger. Task info can be used. Progress larger than 0, progress equals 0, progress does not exist, things like this. Not only task info, but also markers, the existence or a specific tag or icon that has been applied. And also interesting and powerful, the position of a certain topic. Does the topic belong to a specific branch? If so, then give it a certain color or something. Or does the topic sit in a specific segment of a swim line that has been added to the map? Things like this. This all can be applied as a trigger. And our specific theme today, the property value. A value of a property can be a trigger in a map. And then if the condition applies, an effect is happening. Most of the effects are actually related to the visual appearance of the topic, meaning the topic formatting, fill color, line color, topic shape, text size or text color, things like this. But an effect can also be add an icon or add a tag to a topic or manipulate task information, not all available task information. Specifically, we can add resources, priority, and progress as an effect of a smart rule. And again, our specific theme today, we can edit or change the value of a property, of an existing property in a map as an effect of smart rules. So before I demo this, how to define rules, again, menu advanced, smart rule, this button, if you click on it, you need to say add new, then you give it a name, you select the available triggers, what I've mentioned before, and then you define the effect here. So you can only apply what is being available through these menus, and depending on the actual trigger, the values that you need to specify are also quite strict. So you can only do what you find in these options here. Again, an example. This is a little map, and task info so far. And what I want to show you is if I open the Smart Rule button, menu, Advanced Smart Rule, you see something that you probably are already familiar with. These are these 3 rules, because every new map in MindManager that you create normally contain these 3 rules. In my case, I have switched the rules off, and these rules are related to a task status. Let's have a closer look at the first rule, saying, it's checking the value of the task due date against a specific date. Today, tomorrow, is it due whenever? So here are the options you can use. A second condition is applied if the task is overdue and the progress is less than 100%, then please highlight this task with a red fill color and apply this little icon, because I want to make sure that every task that's supposed to be finished but is not finished, is not done yet, is visible immediately. That's the rule over here. Same rule for, topics that are finished and topics that are at risk. I'm not going into details how this is defined here, but these are the 3 rules. I've switched them on. We click on OK, and you immediately see the effect has been applied, and it's easier for me to identify the critical task. I personally never like this double visualization with, this green button and the green color, but the good thing about smart rules is you can always switch the rule off that you don't want to apply. Now, let's say I would also like to work in Kanban mode, like Agile, with this little project. If I switch into tag Kanban mode, nothing has been applied yet. And instead of doing this manually, I can, again, define rules that help me do this, save time. So I go again on the advanced tab into SmartRules, and I have already, again, prepared some rules saying if task progress is equal to 0, not yet started. And as a second condition, I checking the topic level because I want to avoid that roll-up topics get a Kanban tag applied. So if this condition is true, then the tag to do is applied. Same applies for the done and for the doing tag. So let me switch this on again. And you see my tags get applied. To do different than 0 is doing, and everything that's done is done. And now I could immediately go into tag view and work from here. And again, this is important to note with SmartRules. In this case, I can actually manipulate the Kanban tags by moving this from one column to another. But this only works, let me go back here, because in the definition of my smart rule, I have, let me check this on, I have checked this little button. This is a very important one, allow manual override for effects. By default, this button is off, and if it stays off and a tag or an icon or something is applied via a rule, you cannot manually remove it. So whenever you say, yes, I want to get an initial state by this rule, but then I want to be free to do whatever I want with this, please make sure you check the allow manual override for the smart rules. There are more options in here. Another option is, by default, a rule that has been defined in the editor is applied to every topic in the map, but you can make it more specific by clicking apply this rule to specific topics and select the topics where you want to apply this rule to. That's another option. And one last thing, also very important in here, is this one. So the execution scope has been mentioned. This one, the rule, order, and priority. This is probably the source of the most mistakes that happen with rules. Or if you find out that you have defined rules and they are not doing what you expect them to do, please check the order of rules. Let me quickly go into my example again and go to the smart rules and let's look at these things. I have 3 rules for a Kanban tag. I'm starting with the progress is 0. Then I say progress is done or progress is doing. The order is defined by the priority of a rule is defined by the order. And the first rule that has a specific effect is applied. If a later rule has the same effect, like changing the color, it is not applied. Meaning if I change this order here, if I would move this up, put it in this thing, every topic is checked for progress either 0 or progress larger 0. And even for progress 100%, this rule would be applied and all my topics would have the doing instead of the done tag. You'll see, no way now through the way I've defined it to define the done tag. And this is simply happening because I have not applied the right order. Sometimes you can avoid this problem by making your conditions more specific. I could have said apply the doing tag if the progress is larger than 0 but smaller than 100. But it's easier sometimes if you are aware of the order or the priority rule for smart rules to make it easy, but simply observe the priority of your rules. Okay, so far to smart rules and the things you need to know. And now we come to, what we want to specifically cover today, the combination. How do smart rules and properties, specifically calculated property, work together? And what can this use be for? And yeah, I have two advantages doing this. One is I can use calculated properties, the value of a calculated property, as a smart rule trigger, meaning I can use the formula editor to calculate specific steady or KPIs within my map, use this as a trigger and make sure that the critical values, what I consider critical, is then highlighted by the rule. This is one thing. And the other thing is the opposite. I'm using the smart rule to manipulate the value of a property. Let's start with here. Example. Using a calculated property as a rule trigger. Now, what you see here is, again, a little task structure with applied roll-up. So I have tasks with a duration. I have applied resources. This automatically creates an effort. And here, through roll-up feature, the efforts and durations, everything is calculated. We've seen this in the example before. What I want to do now is make sure that my overall total planned costs resulting just from my structure and the information I've added is not exceeding a certain budget that I have defined. This is this value. That's the simple property that I've added, planned costs. The value was entered manually. Now, what I want to do and use my rule for is comparing this planned cost against these actual costs here. And depending on the delta that I get, do specific highlighting. And you see what I have in mind. Let's add the numbers here. Let's simply add a second resource to this task specification here, making this task more expensive. Now, let's use this one over here. Oh. My rule is not working here. Why is the rule not working? Let me check the smart rule. Oh, of course, the rules are switched off. So sorry for this. That's my fault. I have defined the rules, but made them inactive. And now you see what I mean, removing this resource. Again, this one. Just say I don't need this one. I need only one person working on this. Comes up to total cost of 14,000, definitely less than the planned cost. But as soon as I add, a second resource, the planned costs are getting higher. In this case, so high that my planned budget is exceeded. And the way I've chosen to visualize this is, and this brings me actually to this next topic here, is I'm manipulating via rule another property. This is the on budget property, and this property is a color property. There is a type color, and the color needs to be assigned manually. Make this property green or blue or red, or this color can be applied via a smart rule. And this is exactly what I've done in this example. If you look at my rules over here, property delta, that's the calculated property that I've added, is checked. And if the value is according to my definition, the calculated color property is being filled with a red value and an icon is being added. So you can see in this case, I'm using this calculated property delta, which is simply, dividing the total cost by the planned cost to give me a percentage value. And this is my trigger for the rule. This number as such is actually not important. I mean, for me to see in the map, since I have smart rules that react to them. So each property can actually, even when it is when I define it, I right-click on it to define it, and you see actually this delta property has been marked as a hidden property. That's an option I have in MindManager to add properties that are not visible normally, but simply used for, calculating certain, KPIs in the background. So I made it invisible, but then I can overrule this invisible thing by right-clicking through the context menu and say show hidden properties. This is normally off. I've made it on. This is what it would look like. Since I've made this property invisible, it wouldn't be seen, but of course it would work already. And that's the way how you would create smart rules in dashboards in MindManager, by simply making smart use of calculated properties as trigger or effect of smart rules. And I think I demonstrated the effect here already. I do not want to take time away from Christoph to show you real life examples of this. So I think I can now hand over already to Christoph for the next session. These are our example maps. So bear with me for a moment. I need to make Christoph the organizer, the presenter. Make presenter. So, and now Christoph can take over.
So I normally share my screen. So now it must be my personal screen. Yes. You must see. Okay, perfect. So thank you, Rainer, for all this explanation about the properties. And now we will see more advanced and perhaps more close to real life example of what we can do in MindManager by using these formulas, properties, and also smart rules. So as you see, I have prepared 3 examples. So let's start with the first one. The first one is a map where you can register risk, evaluate risk. And before I start, I want just to mention that this map has been originally created by one of our partners, Nick Dufil from Airport Consulting, and I want to thank him for this map. So as you see, this map can look very simple at the first look. It's really a will to have something simple to evaluate the risk. So the goal is really to help to make decision without being influenced. That's why the map looks very simple, without visual overload, without many icons, without tags, without all the things we can use. But in fact, it's not totally true, because if I show you what really the topic look like, so let me first here click here. When I click on the 3 little dot, I will open what we call the topic information card, and we see really what is inside the topic. And as you can see, there is a lot of tags here. You have also icons, you have also simple properties, you have also formulas. But the idea of this map is, when you work on a daily basis with this map, to have something simple. That's why everything is by default hidden. Let me speak a bit about the structure of this map. You can see on each branch we have the department. You see that there is finance, human resource, production, IT, services, and so on. And under each branch, you have the risk we want to evaluate. You must imagine that the first time you use this map, you have absolutely no colors. You have your topic like in the general with my risk item A and B. Really just text. The objective, I say it again, not to be influenced by the color, by the icons when you take your decision. So when you want to analyze, it means you don't stay on this view. You don't stay on the map view. We will switch in a view based on tags, for example, because to evaluate the level of my risk, we want to evaluate the likelihood, we want to evaluate the danger, and that's why we have created this map group containing tags. So let me show you the group containing those tags. So I go in the map index for that, and you see that I have a couple of group of tags that have been created, one for the likelihood, one for the impact. You see that there is also one for severity and for the treatment when we have measure the risk. Now, when I want to evaluate, the first reflex when I work on a map would have been to drag and drop directly from the index my tags. We don't do that in this map. We switch to the tag view, and I don't want to have all my topic in the tag view. That's why I will first select the topic I want to evaluate. And now from the view ribbon, I have the view for the tags that are here. Instead of clicking in the main button, I will go on the drop-down menu to have only the selected topic in this view. So by doing that, I'm jumping in the tag view, and you immediately see that we don't see the color. We don't see the color of the topic we had in the view map. Why? Because I have said I don't want to be influenced. So that's why I've choose the option to hide the topic formatting. So if I have not hide it, of course, we see the color we had in the previous view, in the map view. But I don't want to be influenced, so I add the formatting, and that way I have just topic with simple text. And when I want to evaluate, let me first go here, for example, in the likelihood, you see that I have a little drop-down menu here where I can select the group of tag I want to use. And the first is the likelihood. And now when I want to evaluate my risk, instead of applying manually the risk, I just need to move the topic from one column to the other one. So for example, if the risk item A is just likely, I just move it here. By doing that, automatically it apply the tag with the value likely. Let me show you that again with my quick add button. You see by default I have nothing for the likelihood, no score, nothing, no tags. But now, because I have moved in one of the columns, you see that I have now a tag for the likelihood, and automatically it has put a value to the likelihood. Instead of 0, now I have 6. And if I am moving it in another column, of course, you see that I have another value. So you can totally imagine this behavior. It's because I have a smart rules behind that detect when the tag likelihood is probably the value of the property. The effect of the smart rules is 3. And if I put it in another column, of course, it changes. And again, smart rules that detect, okay, if the tag likely is applied, the value of the property likelihood must be now 6. Now, when I want to evaluate my impact, my impact with this risk, I switch to another group. Again, remember, I have my group that are that have been defined before, and if I put now my risk A here, I can on the same way rate it, and it's a threat, so very dangerous risk. And automatically by doing this, we have other smart rules, other formulas that have create a severity level. You see now, because I have the two first information, the likelihood tag, the impact tag, automatically I have a smart rules that can detect that I must apply this specific severity tags and put this severity score. We will see a bit later what are the formula we have used. But on that way, you see immediately the risk can be now seen organized by severity, because now I have severity that have been applied. So if I click now on the severity group, my risk item has been applied in the right level of severity. We have analyzed, we know now that we have risk, some are low, some are medium, some are high, but what treatment can we do? In this map, you can also manage the treatment of the risk. For the treatment, you have different situations. Perhaps you have done nothing yet, so it's still pending. Or perhaps you have started to do some treatment, you have started to resolve the risk, or perhaps the risk is perhaps there's a risk, but you don't want to consider it, and we can manage that by applying some task info in this map. You can directly on the topics apply, you know, the progress icon. So if it's not start, you will see that. Let me open the card info, and that way we will see it better. You see the treatment is pending by default because I have done nothing. But if I change the progress, you see that I have also smart rules that apply now that we have start to find a solution to this risk. And if it is done, of course, the risk is accepted. We have solved the problem. Okay, so now let me show you really how it works behind this example, what has been really done. I have a little schema here. You see something I forgot to mention. Of course, you can imagine when you create a new risk, you cannot use the quick add button because if you do that, you have just a totally empty topic. And you have seen we need some information in the topic. That's why you have here this risk item template. It's a pre-configure topic with inside of it, you know, an icon to identify that it is a risk, and also the property we need and the formula we need. Okay, so that means if you want to create a new risk, just need to drag and drop this topic into the map. For doing that, just push the Control key of your keyboard and move the topic where you want, and on that way you have a topic that you can use directly in this map. Okay, but how it works? So in the about risk evaluation process, you have this little topic note, and in this topic note, you see that we have some explanation, of course, but what is important now, it's this diagram. You have seen to have the score, to have the evaluation. The only thing I have done is to move my topic to apply the likelihood rating and the impact rating. So that's why you have the tag that are applied, and as soon as the tag is applied, it has been done by moving it, but if you apply the tag manually, it will also work, of course. But you have 4 smart rules that work in this case. As soon as the MindManager detects you have put a tag for likelihood, 4 smart rules apply. It's the smart rules 1 to 4. Remember, Reynard spoke about the order of the rules. So if I go on the advanced ribbon and in the smart rules, you see my 4 first rules. Roles are to check if there is the tag in the likelihood group and its value here unlikely, and if it's the case, the trigger is respected, so the property likelihood become 1. And if it's for example the likelihood with a high risk, high level, sorry, you see same principle. We detect then in the group likelihood we have applied exactly the tag very likely, and in this case we change the score of likelihood to 10. Okay, same thing for the rating. By doing that, you have seen we have created value in properties, and it's what we use to create the severity score. The severity score, in fact, is the score we have from the impact here, and from the likelihood multiply. On that way, we built the severity score. From this severity score, we have now 3 smart rules that will automatically apply the severity range and also the severity color. Again, let me going back here, and it's the rule 9 to 11. So 9 to 11. We see here the 3 rules. So let's just see the first one. You see here the purpose of these rules is now to check if the severity value for the property is greater than this specific value. If it happens, you have this field color, and the tag severity apply is high level of severity. So on that way, it's totally automatic. And the other things you have to see, you remember about the treatment, the task progress, so the icon you have in your topic, depending of the level of the icon, if it's 0 or if it's 60% or 100%, we have 3 smart rules that detect the value of the progress and that automatically apply the treatment tag directly on this map. So on that way, you have something that look very simple once you have hidden the things that are behind, and it's still very powerful. Okay, so now let's jump to the second example I have prepared. It's something related to budget management in MindManager. The map you are seeing now is something to manage IT budget in general. You see that we have multiple information here. We have a plan budget for this IT department. We have some costs that come. You see that it's a calculated property. Let me zoom a bit. Perhaps it's a bit small. You have a formula that calculates the grand total of all your budget cost. We have here a smart rule that check the difference. Still, it's okay. You have the green color and the thumb up. But of course, you can imagine I have also smart rules. If the grand total cost was bigger than the planned budget, it will be the opposite. I have a thumb down and the red color that appear. But you see another thing here. I have something called re-invoicing margin target. Why? Because in IT department, often the IT department have to re-invoice the software, re-invoice the hardware he buy to other departments. And for this IT department, their target is to have 20% of margin compared to what they pay and how they resell it internally. So about the structure of the map, you have here the outsourced services. So perhaps there is some external company that come to set up some advanced software or to install things in the company. So you have the cost here. You have the cost of the internal resource, the salary of the employee that work in the IT department. But what is interesting, it's here about the hardware and software. And often it's difficult, especially in this category, to have a clear vision. And that's why MindManager is very useful in this case, because you see, actually my map looks simple, but you see that there's a lot of branch behind this. Now imagine I want to have more details about this budget. So if I open this branch, now I see that I have costs and things for the infrastructure, the server, the routers, but I have also things for my user, their personal computer, their personal software, and so on. And you see that the more I go deeper in the branch, the more I can go in the details. So for example, for the user part, if I go now here, I see, okay, for my user, we have 2 profiles of user in this company. One standard user, another one with remote user. And right now you can wonder why there is this little trophy with green color or red color. It's because I'm using smart rules that check if I respect my objective of reinvoicing margin. So my smart rules that apply this little trophy here check that my reinvoicing margin is respecting my objective. Remember, it was 20%, and here I have only 15%. So how it is calculated, this 15%? Because you see that it's a formula. So if we have a look on the formula, let me open my formula editors. You see my average reinvoicing margin. What it is, it do the average of the descendant internal reinvoicing margin. So it means we have topic deeper in this branch, and I just do the average here, and I compare for my smart rules this average value with my target. And you see my target is in the central topic. That's why, to compare that in my SmartRules, I have created this formula where I have my reinvoicing margin target, central topic, and the value that is in the central topic. And that way I have everything in this single topic.
Now, sorry to interrupt, but I think we need to come to an end. We have already, exceeded our time limit, and maybe we would like to spend another 5 minutes for questions we had, even though I see that we have already in the background answered most of the questions. And I mean, for all the audience, all the maps that Christoph has been presenting, they will come with the follow-up email. So you can spend more time looking at all those sophisticated formulas and things. The idea really was, to show you some real-life examples that make exactly, use what I tried to show you, combining formulas and SmartRules. Since we have no way to add conditions to calculations to formula, we use SmartRules to define conditions. And in the combination, we can do exactly the things that Christoph was trying to show you in this example. I think, Christoph, we don't have time for the last map now.
Yeah, totally agree.
But maybe let me see, what do we have on questions here? What would be the best way to track the KPI billable hours, e.g. 100 hours per month for each resource in a team, working on the same and different project tasks at different stages on a weekly, monthly, and yearly basis? I mean, this is quite sophisticated, and I'd say this is exceeding definitely, now the time, and we can't answer this, but principally, I would say this could be done through a combination of SmartRules, calculations, and map rollup. If we have several resources working different products, we probably have maps for each project. So we're getting all those values from map rollup into one map and use this map then to calculate the KPIs. As a very rough answer. We have webinars in the webinar archive regarding all the specifics about map rollup and about calculations. I would also like to mention that the follow-up contains like a reference or knowledge map that describes all the available operators, features, and functions around formulas. So you should have lots of material to dive more deeply into the material, and then always feel free to write us an email if you get stuck or would need very specific information. So let me quickly check the questions again. One last question for today. Hello, there is breaking Linus property. It was once announced that there will be more look and feel features. Okay, I think this question is related to the options, how to manipulate the way a property is being displayed in a map. Yeah, I'm afraid to say that what you saw today is exactly what you can do. This hasn't really changed. So the font size and the way a property is actually arranged in the map cannot be changed for now. Maybe this is something that we're going to improve in the future, but right now, not. Okay, I think these are all the questions I see right now. Again, you will receive the follow-up. The follow-up will receive our example maps, will receive my presentation map, and we will add more maps like this knowledge base map that I have mentioned. And yeah, thank you again for attending today and for your interest. And I hope you found it interesting and it helps you to create your own personal dashboards. Christoph, thank you for showing us the more sophisticated examples here. And last thing to mention, the next webinar is already on the pipeline in April. It's again about project management. And in this webinar, we want to focus about the ways how to combine agile and non-agile, traditional waterfall and agile working Kanban boards and Gantt view in like one and the same project or in your project portfolio. So would be nice to see you again in April. Okay, that's for now. Thank you again. Thank you, Christoph.
Thank you.
And I wish you a nice day.